Everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're doing our daily technical analysis, updated commodities, work our way through the dollar yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. If you need any help with anything, check out finding-value.com. I think today is the last day that we got the turkey discount code going on. Hopefully it still works for everybody. Let me know if it doesn't work for you. I can extend it to you for maybe a day longer. But that's what we've got going on there. Let's dive in. I'll give you my financial opinions on what I see in the markets, and let's dive in and see what's going on. So the DXY is getting a reversal here, moving on up pretty strong, actually, 0.64% on this move higher today. And this is what it looks like from a little bit longer perspective here. So we got close to that support level. We didn't quite touch it, and we're getting a little bit of a bounce today. Yields obviously higher. It's almost as if the DXY moves with yields. So when we go to yields, this is the 2-year yield here. I'm going to extend open. 2-year yield getting a bounce, but we got to see what kind of bounce we're going to get. So we got the strong selling pressure. This is a continuation pattern there. We have a breakout here, a retest, the move lower, and I'm going to guess, this is just my guess, that we're probably going to come up and roll back over, create some sort of pattern like that, or another flag pattern, whatever it may be. I do think that there's a probability of that rolling over. The reason I think that is because we have a lot of momentum behind the move. Big selling pressure, weak bounce. Big selling pressure, weak bounce. Big selling pressure. We got to see a strong bounce here if this is going to be a V bottom. I mean, we got to shoot out of this thing. Now, it's possible. I don't know the future, but things are looking pretty weak for the 2-year yield. And I think we could see further downside after a short-term bounce. That is my guess. Now, here are some conflicting data against what I just told you. So the 10-year yield up today, up 1.9%. And we've got a falling wedge with most likely a false breakdown or out to the downside, and this could potentially go higher. So we got the long end of the curve looking like it wants to go up. We have the short end of the curve that looks like it wants to go down. And we've got the DXY moving to the upside. Now, who's right? Who's wrong? Is the long end of the curve right? Is the short end of the curve right? And right now we've got a bear steepener with the long end of the curve going up more than the short end, which is pretty rare in history to see this type, or I should say, this many bear steepeners occurring in the market. So we're kind of in an uncharted territory to some degree, as you don't see these that often, but yet we are seeing it often. So which way is this thing going to break in the short term? This is going to be a tough one to figure out where we're actually going to go. And what I would say is, let's be patient and wait for the data to roll in. We're at support here. If we look across, there's support over here. We are bouncing off that support. And will this have staying power to move on up? So that's what we basically need to figure out. It seems like everything in the markets is going off where yields are going. The 10-year being a huge anchor for the price movements of assets. The 30-year also up, but we also have support pretty close underneath it. So again, we have a falling wedge, and falling wedges generally break upward. They hardly, I mean, they can break down, yes, but what's the likelihood of this breaking lower right above support? So I think we'll at least get a bounce. We'll have to see what that bounce looks like. If it's a really weak bounce and starts to roll over, then yeah, it's going to roll over. If we get a strong bounce with weak selling pressure, I think we're moving higher. So we're at this kind of juncture where we're getting a lot of weird data, and To me, the short end looks like it wants to go lower. The long end looks like it wants to go higher. So that's kind of what I'm seeing across the yield curve there. TYX TNX ratio, we're down 0.5%. So the yield curve inverted to some extent where the 10-year went up more than the 30-year. That's yield curve inversion. But the 2-year didn't go up as much as the 10-year. So it's a funky looking shift where the middle of the curve went up more than the ends of the curves. So that's not going to be helpful for precious metals today. And then we've got bond prices, which are also moved a little bit lower. We have a pattern here that would have broken to the downside, would have been my guess, but we moved on up. Now, I know that the Federal Reserve is in here buying crap. I don't know if it's a 20-year yield, but I know they're probably on the short end of the curve buying stuff up. So interesting to see how this is all kind of playing out. We're also up against or coming up against resistance. It's that white line I've drawn across here. We hit it here, and we hit it a whole bunch back here. So we're in this mucky area of support resistance, and we very well could roll back over, leading to a stronger yield and a weaker bond price. And what does that mean? Stronger yields are generally good for energy, for oil, nat gas. They are generally very well correlated. It means liquidity is coming into the market, and there is liquidity that we've seen in some of the measuring, indicators that liquidity has come up some. So we're at a very interesting point where we're coming against support and resistance in a lot of different areas, and the charts are kind of coming to falling wedges in the tips of them. And I'd like to see some clear resolution here before making a stated move either in the up or down direction for yields and or bond prices. And then the U.S. 10-year 210s, the 210s came back down, so the yield curve uninverted from the 2s and 10s. A weird setup where the 10 went up more than the outer short end and long end of the curve. So gold was down a little bit. I still think gold looks absolutely fantastic for a move higher. Very strong closing for November 2055 is what I'm seeing on price of gold. And I think we're going higher. We're going higher, guys. We are going higher. Now, are we going to do that immediately if yields go up? That is where I am unsure at the moment because you've got the short end of the curve falling and the long end of the curve going up. Generally, you see the 10-year and the 2-year, if we have a recession or problems, they both generally fall. And then the 2-year falls faster than the 10-year in a recession type movement. But we've got this doesn't look like a recession type movement yet. 2-year is falling, but the 10 and 30 are remaining quite resilient. Silver up 0.91%. With how yields are interacting today, silver is in beast mode. I mean, we're up about 1%. We're at 25.65 here, guys. This is a clear break. And we closed the monthly candlestick right above our support resistance line. Now, this very well could move sideways to lower to do a return move before heading higher. But again, I'm not betting on any of that stuff. The market doesn't have to do that. It doesn't have to get off of a high relative strength indicator. It doesn't have to do crap. So this thing could rip. If it wants to rip, it can rip. And I'm in it, and I'm going to capture those gains. I'm not playing the short term here, boys. I'm playing the long game. And if my pockets are going to get filled to a spot where I get lower back pain, so be it. That's how much money could be put in my pocket if we get a big silver move. So that is where my mind is at. Play the long term, ride the short term, enjoy the ride. So silver looks fantastic. Platinum down a little bit, basically a flat day today, down $5. But that still looks excellent too to continue higher. Very small selling pressure all through here. And then palladium, a little bit more selling pressure. It looks like it's trying to do the trampoline jumps and base out at the bottom of a falling wedge. So generally speaking, we get these basing. This is a basing period. This is a consolidation. You break the consolidation, you get a retest. There's your break. There's your retest. That is your run. What I'm invested for is I want to get in cheap and I want to ride it. Now, I got in here and in here, and I rode it all this way, all the way up there. And I swapped it in 2020, which was actually, I swapped it right here. That's where my circle is. That's what I rode. If that's where I made my money. I swapped it into platinum. And right now, platinum can buy a whole bunch more palladium. But I think palladium's going to get a base here. I think it's a false breakout. And I think this is going to be a really good move back to the upside after this base is out. XEU to gold ratio moving on up. I like to see strength in a down gold market. That's exactly what we want to see. Gold and silver mining companies are being accumulated. Here we are coming off the bottom. We are at life-changing cheap valuations down here. Why did I add, even though we didn't break out? Well, it's because of the market conditions. Inverted yield curve. When the inverted yield curve uninverts, gold goes up. Gold and silver mining companies could also go up. Hey, I can sprinkle a little bit of money in, not really miss it in the portfolio if it doesn't go anywhere. Okay. So gold and silver mining companies extremely cheap. I am hoping that this is sure looks good for some momentum. Start working on the way up. We got to break that trend line, guys. Break that trend line. That's the trend line for happiness. We're gold and silver mining companies putting money in our pockets in an amount that we all get lower back pain because it puts so much money in our pockets. So the CRB index, I know oil was doing some really weird stuff today. Maybe this is just a return move of the breakout. We got a breakout yesterday, and there is the return move. Maybe the return move's over. I don't know. We'll see. But that is a falling wedge, and it still looks good to go higher. We've got the CRB to S&P 500. That did fall today, but that is also a return move. Falling wedge into the corner, breakout, return move. That's what we're doing right now is that return move. So we'll see how sticky we can get this momentum to go to the upside. Looks pretty nasty on the monthly close, though. Looks pretty nasty on the monthly close. So we'll see if we get a turn here. GDX up a little bit. Still looking good. Looks like it wants to go higher. GDXJ wants to go higher. We've broken the downtrend line here, guys. Are you sleeping on this? You better not be sleeping on this. This is a big, big deal. And we have a long way to go up if the yield curve uninverts. Say that, if it uninverts. And it will at some point. SILJ also moving up, looking like it's ready to attack its trend line as well. Let's get a break here, boys. Let's get a break. Crude oil. What happened to you, crude oil? You look so good in the morning. You're breaking out. And then we got the selling pressure throughout the day. Looking at the short term, there it is breaking out. And then the total dump fest. Total dump fest down. It's trying to do its trampoline jumps. We'll see where this thing ends. I don't try to trade the short term like that. But we're still above major key support levels. There's one of them. It's not on logarithmic. And we're still above. We don't want to break below $66 if it decides to take a little bit of a dump here. Now, I'm not calling for that. But to me, it kind of looks like a shoulder head shoulder with a failed kind of break to the upside there. We'll see where it goes. See where it goes. The downtrend line's still broken, but we haven't broken this resistance line yet. ETF gas, right on support. It's holding right on that big support level. Doesn't look too bad, though. Doesn't look too bad. Natural gas just moving sideways, kind of at support as well. We've got lots of support. Let me move this line down a little bit here. Support I'm talking about is that support right there. That's where the bulk of the support's at. That's where all these shares have been traded. History. So that's where the bulk of the support is. We're right on support for Henry Hub. Now, XOP, yeah, you know me, it's not taking participation in the move lower like crude oil did. So what the heck is going on here? Why did crude go down 2.85%, but yet XOP is looking like it's holding steady? So XOP is holding steady. It doesn't look horrible. It's holding on, and we're underneath this gigantic neckline. It's like someone doesn't want this thing to break. Because if it breaks, we are going to see inflation in the consumer price index. And maybe they are defending some lines here in the sand. They've got chartists like me working for them, guys. So that we're still underneath the neckline there. OIH was looking good too. We have broken this falling wedge. It's just basing out there, moving sideways. That generally works its way higher. So energy services still looks very good. Profits of Uranium Trust. We had selling pressure yesterday. We came to support, and then uranium went full beast mode. Full beast mode today. Nice big up candlestick. It is almost a bullish engulfing. Maybe one could consider that. You can see the hit off the support level, the double bottom, and then the move higher. So I think it looks good. Momentum's to the upside here in the short term. It reversed that negative momentum yesterday quite quickly. Now, we'll see how this reacts. Tomorrow, if we get strong buying pressure, pat yourself on the back, uranium bulls, for holding on. We could get some sideways action too, maybe a small little down day next to this, but that still means it's game on for a potential bounce. We also saw that strength in URA, which is a big bullish engulfing candlestick. So uranium's going full beast mode. We come right to the support level, try to break below support, and then the bullish buyers and the bulls came out and just pushed it right back up. So looking at this on the short term, you can see the selling pressure. Let me put this on line so you guys can see it. You can see the selling pressure coming on. We got gathered support and then just shot it to the upside. So again, this is really strong, and it's a bullish engulfing. That signals that we've got a reversal here. That's crazy because yesterday I was like, man, that's strong selling pressure. But today, uranium, went full beast mode. Full beast mode on uranium. Uranium also doing the same thing. It completely encased the day before it. That is huge, guys. Right on support. So good job, uranium bulls. URNJ also doing the same thing. It encased the day before it. That's a bullish engulfing. Right at support. Looks good to go higher. Full beast mode, guys. TAN still looking good, go higher. There's no big selling pressure here. We've broken the downtrend. A lot of the times this just trades sideways for a while before heading higher. We've got COPX, that's also trading sideways, broken downtrend, right on support. It's resting before a move higher. Lithium still looking good. We're doing a return move back to the support line. I think we are going to work our way higher in lithium as we've broken that downtrend. REMX also have broken the downtrend. It is moving sideways. It is consolidating. It's basing. It's going to move on up at some point out in the future. Looks good. The S&P 500 still holding in there. It fought off that kind of larger selling pressure day, and we are continuing to move sideways. Still looks all right. And NASDAQ, we had a nice little reversal candlestick today. So this was a reversal candlestick here, and we got another reversal candlestick that responded today, which is a bullish hammer candlestick. So what we had a gap higher, a sell-off, then we found support, broke the downtrend line, and now we're moving back up with momentum. That is how quick it can change in the very short term. I don't play the short term, I play the longer term move. Longer term, though, we are not in the clear yet. This can very easily roll over if it still wants to roll over. KRE still looking good. No big strong reversal candlesticks. And to me, if you look at a bigger picture view, it looks like we're trying to break out of a potential kind of double bottom that we've got going on. So I think we could potentially see a move higher. Emerging markets move higher. No big strong selling pressure. Still looks good. Everything's A-okay. Above support too. XHB, same thing. That still looks good to go higher. We back out a little bit. Still looks good. Moving sideways. To me, it looks like we're going to go higher. Why do I say that? Bigger buying pressure, smaller selling pressure. Those all indicate generally a move higher, that we are basing out, that people are accumulating. So you come to a support level, let's say, and the support level just happens to be here. Then the force, like it's like a force hitting something. It knocks it higher and then slowly dribbles off. Knocks it higher, slowly dribbles off. The sellers are getting tired here, boys. It'll turn and move on up. Copper continues to look good. We've busted through to the downside slightly, and then we are going around the apex move. I believe Grady said that, and we are heading higher. So copper looks fantastic to move on up. Iron ore, a little bit of selling pressure today. Could we get more sideways to slightly lower action? We very well could, but the bigger term, longer term move is higher. Momentum's to the upside. Aluminum still within the boundaries here, and we're right on support. We've got Baltic Dry Index. That's lurching higher. Look at that thing go, boys. Boom! Someone called the Baltics. We are heading towards $4,700. That's the projected move of this falling wedge. And we are still, that projection is still on. Remember when I talk about the false breakout and the slingshot? That's what's occurring. Came down, did a false breakout. We came up, and sometimes it rests before it runs. We're in full run mode now. Newcastle coal up 4.38%. No way. We would have never guessed that this was basing out here and that this was a really good buying opportunity. No one would have guessed that. No way. Basing opportunity there, the breakout, the retest. This is where I'd be looking to be purchasing some of my favorite coal companies. Bitcoin slightly lower, but doesn't change my attitude towards it. Still looks good to continue higher. Along with Ethereum, still looks good. Why do I say that? Big buying pressure, flag pattern, big buying pressure, small selling pressure. Exactly what I see in an upward move in any tradable thing. So Ethereum still looks good. Bitcoin still looks good. So that's what I've got for today. Thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Gold still looks great. Silver still looks great. All the precious metals look good. Surprising at the crude oil sell-off today. Kind of interesting. I know you guys want to put news and a narrative to it. What I'm going to say is I don't really care about the narrative. It's just people trading. Whatever the narrative comes out, it doesn't really matter. So we can go either direction in oil here. I'd like to see it move higher. We've got a broken down trend line. But it's weird to see that much selling pressure come out of a very short, time, which is a pretty strong impulse move to the downside. Most everything else looks pretty good. Copper's looking fantastic. Uranium, great beast mode, guys, on uranium. Good job with the buyers there. Buyers came in, bought that thing, reversed it right back up. So uranium's looking really good. And a lot of these sectors look really good, guys. They don't look that bad. Everything looks good for the most part across the board. Baltic Dry Index going full beast mode too. So I'm partaking in all these sectors. Doesn't really matter what does what. I'm riding this thing for the long term. If you want to join me and ride this, join the community. That's the finding-value.com. Use Turkey in the coupon code. I think it still works. The only reason I say I think, the person where I set this up, the code, it's not based off of my time. It's based off of the Stripe time, whichever time they're on. So it's not based on Mountain Time. It's based on whatever time they're running on their system. So that's what I've got for today, guys. We'll catch you later. This is Finding Value.